This video is for historical and educational purposes only. We do not provide instructions or encourage evading law enforcement. Picture this. It's 1944. You're a German soldier, pinned down in the rubble of a shattered city. Enemy fire comes from a window just around the corner. Sticking your rifle out to shoot is a death sentence. But what if you didn't have to? What if your gun could bend? That wasn't a comic book fantasy. It was a real multi-million Reichsmark project approved at the highest levels of Nazi Germany. They called it the Krummlauf, a curved barrel attachment for their new assault rifle, a weapon born from desperation, flawed from conception, and a perfect example of how a regime can waste its last breaths on technological fairy tales. My friends, today, we're not talking about the triumphant tanks or mighty battleships. We're going into the strange, often overlooked corners of World War II history. We're examining the bent-barrel blunder. This is the story of a weapon failure that, in its own small, cracked and fragmented way, helped change how we think about warfare forever. To understand the Krummlauf, you have to feel the atmosphere in Germany by late 1943, 1944. The tide had well and truly turned. Stalingrad was lost. The Allies were bombing German cities around the clock. In the east, the Soviet steamroller was gaining momentum. Resources, steel, fuel, skilled labor, were running critically low. And in this atmosphere of looming defeat, a powerful myth took hold. The myth of the Wunderwaffe, the wonder weapon. Propaganda Minister Joseph Goebbels sold the German people and the military on the idea that revolutionary, war-winning technology was just around the corner. These weren't just incremental improvements. They were promised to be miracle solutions. Jet planes, massive rockets, super-heavy tanks, and yes, even guns that shot around corners. It was a strategy of hope, but also of profound distraction. You see, when you're losing a war of production and manpower, betting everything on a handful of complex, unproven gadgets is a dangerous gamble. An old-timer once told me, desperation is the mother of bad invention, and the Krummlauf is a textbook case. So what specific problem was this bent barrel supposed to solve? It was a tactical one, born from the brutal, close-quarters fighting that defined the war's end. For infantry, it was urban combat. Clearing a street meant exposing yourself to fire from windows, alleyways, and behind rubble. The historical concept was to allow a soldier to engage targets from behind cover without revealing their position. Think of it as a periscope, but for a bullet. But there was another, perhaps more urgent application: tank defense. Some of Germany's late-war tank destroyers, like the Elephant or the Panzer 470, had a critical weakness. They lacked a mounted machine gun for close-in defense. Enemy infantry could get dangerously close, climbing onto the vehicle to plant explosives. The idea was to mount a rifle with a severely bent barrel, a 90-degree version, in a tank's roof hatch. A crewman inside could then rotate it to spray the immediate area, a last-ditch effort to keep attackers at bay. They were effectively trying to turn a rifle into a short-range, inward-facing sprinkler system. On paper, it sounds almost clever. In reality, it was a violent affront to physics. The team of German engineers tasked with this weren't fools. They knew the core challenge. A bullet is not a flexible hose of water. It's a hard, fast-moving piece of metal propelled by an immense, expanding gas. Forcing it to change direction inside a rigid steel pipe creates phenomenal stress. Early on, they assumed a standard caliber curved barrel would simply not work. The friction and pressure would be too great. Their first experiments actually used a larger 20mm barrel as a trough to guide a standard 8mm rifle bullet. It was a Rube Goldberg idea that surprisingly failed. The breakthrough, if you can call it that, was discovering that a barrel curved to the exact caliber of the bullet could actually work. Briefly, they settled on two main designs: the I model for infantry with a 30-degree curve, and the P model for tanks with a punishing 90-degree bend. The infantry version looked particularly strange. It was about 14 inches long total, with a straight section, a curved middle, and another straight bit at the end. And because you couldn't aim down standard sights, it came with a bulky periscope and mirror system, so the shooter could, theoretically, see where the crazy thing was pointing. But as soon as they started firing, the dream collided with brutal reality. The problems were fundamental and catastrophic. First, the bullets themselves couldn't handle the journey. The incredible centrifugal force and impact inside the curve caused them to shatter. US military engineers at the Aberdeen Proving Ground tested captured models after the war and found the bullets would typically snap in half at the cannelure, the groove around the bullet. Instead of a single, accurate projectile, the Krummlauf produced a deadly, unpredictable spray of fragments. It turned a precision rifle into a very short-range, one-shot shotgun. Accuracy at a mere 100 meters was generously described as hitting within a 35-centimeter square, when it wasn't just throwing metal confetti. Second, the barrel itself was a consumable part. The stress wasn't just on the bullet, it was on the steel guiding it. The 30-degree model had an effective lifespan of about 300 rounds. The more extreme 45-degree version might last 160 shots before becoming dangerously warped or destroyed. For context, a well-made military rifle barrel should last for tens of thousands of rounds. In a desperate attempt to manage the problem, engineers drilled a series of small vent holes in the initial straight section of the barrel. The idea was to bleed off some propellant gas before the bullet hit the curve, slowing it down slightly to reduce stress. They even added a little shield to stop the venting gas from obscuring the aiming mirror. It was a band-aid on a bullet wound. It didn't solve the core issue. The lifespan remained pitifully short. So, what did the German soldier get for all this complexity? A heavy, awkward attachment that destroyed his rifle's accuracy, rapidly broke itself, and turned his ammunition into scrap metal. It was a solution that was vastly worse than the problem.